who will be there to bring you down.
You trying to get me in my depression, but I'm not going to do that today. So what we're going to do is not going there, because I think that is a great place for us to wind down. So one of the things that I want to share before we end, this is a conversation starter. We are in the midst of the conversation, and I really hope we have we got a lot going on in this country these days, so I'm not going to take anything away from that fact that there is such warfare on social equality and equity on a daily basis on so many different fronts. But I also want to caution us against not giving in to chasing down the next big thing, and that I hope there's continues to be spotlight, intentional focus, and deconstruction and movement towards social justice around this issue. I hope that we as a collective can use this momentum and the conversation around it to continue to elevate the conversation and continue to push it forward, so that we can really see some change and movement happening. One of the ways that you could do that, if you're listening, is through the Time's Up movement. It is powered by women. And it is set up to, and this is from their website, to address the systemic inequality and injustice in the workplace that have kept underrepresented groups from reaching their full potential. And one of the ways that you could do that is not only speak up and stand out for yourself, but also through donating to timesup.com, I believe. I want to make sure it's not a .org. It is a timesupnow.com. You can donate. And what happens is they're taking donations and it goes to a legal fund for women to help subsidize legal action in the workplace, regardless of industry. So that's one of the things that I really am impressed by this movement, is that they are really taking, at least from a social class perspective, and I think also a race perspective, a real intersectional lens on this issue, and recognizing that all women can be subjected to this, but that there are some women who are more vulnerable because of maybe their immigrant status, or because of being in low wage earning positions, or being in male dominated fields. And so the Times Up Now movement is a way to contribute to the legal defense of those women who want to actually pursue their legal right to file charges against perpetrators of harassment or assault in the workplace. I think that's one big thing that you can do. I think keeping the conversation going in your families, in your workspaces, in your social spheres of influence is also vitally important, because what I know to be true is that change never happens quickly, nor does it happen without resistance. That there always has to be something to push back up against, and we have to be the voices to cause that resistance, to make it uncomfortable for people to treat women in this way.
We have about, I'm looking at the time, we have about 27 minutes left in the podcast, and I'd like to play devil's advocate, if you don't mind.
I just don't know. I'm sorry. I just don't know how you could do that on this issue. So I'm interested.
My capacity to that decision tree, let me just tell you, it's a mighty oak. It really is. So there's a lot of different branches to this. And it's because I'm a person who likes to read all different types of news. I don't do, quote, liberal media or fake news, nor do I do, Breitbart or Stormfront. I only read
fake news. I only read fake news.
You're committed to reading fake news.
Committed to reading all the fake news.
But I want to share with you a little thing that happened to me a couple of days ago. For reasons that are my personal business, I was looking at hot guys online. And
not prepared for that.
And it started with my cutie Tom Hardy, who I did not know was in a movie. I hadn't seen the movie. It's on, oh goodness. I think it's either IFC or one of those channels, where he played this horrible murderer from, I think the name of the movie is Bronson. And so I started there and I was like, well, you know, that Tom Hardy is so cute. He did Bane and Batman. And it just sort of went on from there. And I got to the photo of Ed Westwick, who I said, his face is very angular, very, very different, very strange to me. But I had no idea who he was. He was an actor, famous actor. People were saying he was some guy named Chuck. I had no idea who he is. It was a part of a show I'd never seen before. I think it was like a CW show. I still call them UPN. No. But, it was on there. Sir. And,
not in 2018.
Right, I know. It's still going to be the WB. It's a WB show to me. And I wanted to know more about him because I said, I don't know who he is. Let's see who this is. One of the things that was interesting, Ed Westwick is his name.
Okay.
One of the things that was interesting about him is there are allegations of rape against him. And so I went from Google Images over to Google News because I wanted to, what is this all about? Why do I know this person? Why have I never heard of this? What is it started attacking him? One of them responded to people attacking him and said, innocent until proven guilty. And someone responded to that person saying, that's extremely disappointing that you do not see how you've now claimed another woman a liar. You've now chosen the side of a rapist. You'd love to believe that he isn't a rapist. He's so handsome and charming, right? Maybe. Put down those defenses and realize that a woman spoke her story. The only reason it was kept inside was because of fear. Fear of you, fear of what people will say, believe what you want. I choose to believe a woman calling for the end of rape culture. Support this piece of boop, and you're not different from him, and you're, as part of this I'll read. The response to that is, I never said she was lying. I said innocent until proven guilty. She never went to the police. Instead, she posted it on Facebook. She also didn't give the name of the producer. And then there are people who are going on after that bull. He's a rapist. Stop posting photos. Get off Instagram, rapist. All of this stuff. And then there's or said, I fondled them in a nightclub 10 years ago. Or I put a date rape drug in their, cocktail and took advantage of them. Let's say someone said that. And I then said, as this Ed Westwick has said, that he finds it vile, he finds it disrespectful, and it's untrue, and he's working with the authorities, as would I. The damage is already done.
Yeah.
So the question is, as important as I think the Me Too movement is, does it also wield power for certain people to now become vindictive?
No.
Talk to me.
Okay, because the same person could have made the same allegations 18 months ago. Or make them against somebody else, legitimately. It could be you 6 months from now. It doesn't change the veracity, validity, and impact of the experience of millions of women for which this has really happened to. What I think it could do is change the conversation so that men have to hold other men more accountable. I think that's the other part of the conversation that hasn't been had. I think there's so much focus on women and women survivors that there hasn't been impact on or emphasis on looking at men checking other men, how men contribute to their own sense of toxic masculinity. And I share that to say that there may likely be some casualties of innocence in this process. we can look at Black history to know that accusations of sexual harassment and sexual rape were often used as a tool for white racists to lynch Black men.
Amen.
Right? That has happened.
And still, it still is happening. Let's not play the game.
Right, I'm sorry.
DNA evidence, as with statistics, everything is relative. Reasonable doubt is reasonable doubt. In the absence of that.
Right.
Right.
So it isn't about whether this could ever be true or not, right? There's going to be false accusations that happen. What I hope is that maybe if enough people are bothered by it in a real way, maybe if enough men are uncomfortable by it in a real way, it starts to shift the conversation they have among themselves.
So you're saying wearing black T-shirts or black shirts at the Golden Globes isn't enough? I got to do more? I can't just rock a black shirt?
You can't just wear a black shirt. You might actually have to talk to somebody.
I have to actually talk to someone?
Or check someone.
Well,
you might actually.
Just a note to men out there who go to check for other men, just don't check them in a Kevin Spacey kind of way.
No.
You just want to.
That's so skeevy that you would even go there.
Because I find it, and I know people hear me laughing at this stuff. I'll tell you why I'm laughing. I'm laughing because it is my only response to the low grade anger that stays in my soul when I see people in positions of power abusing their power and oppressing others. So I work to make change. I make donations to organizations like Time's Up. We do podcasts like this where we have candid conversations. And when I'm not in those spaces, I sit back, I pray, and I laugh. Because if I don't keep my own personal joy, then I become a part of that problem.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think, I'm a big proponent of humor as a self-care tool, but I also think this is for me, I am a proponent of social justice. So I am excited about the opportunity. I don't know that we've had conversations like this growing up. I think that growing up, I was thinking about instances in middle school and high school and dealing with boys and that sort of thing. Right. And even in college, things that I've, experienced. It just, there was never anyone there to call out what was happening to me as wrong. And there was a point in my development around my own gender identity where I didn't even think that it was wrong. I know that it made me uncomfortable, but I didn't think like being subjected to sexual harassment was wrong, well, right? I thought that this is just what boys do. I probably wouldn't have even called it that, right?
Right.
And the other part about me is I've never been one to be afraid to speak out. Yes. But I've also can look back on lots of instances and realize I didn't have a whole lot of allies or support. Not a lot of people saying, and really got a lot of people placating me or like, oh, I'm just being overly sensitive for both genders. Mm-hmm. And so I think that I'm excited about this being an opportunity for a conversation change, that we're even talking about this,
right?
That men are even talking about this feels important. There's a really short and powerful TED Talk that I like to show in my class that I think helps bring this issue forward a little bit more. It's by a psychologist. His name is Jackson Katz, and he talks about KATZ. He talks about men being the most important group of people to deconstruct sexism. Sure. He says that until men can start to have conversations among themselves about themselves, then we really won't see the system of sexism kind of deconstructed or changed. The piece that I would add to that is that I think, as you pointed out earlier in the show, lots of men are connected to women. They are connected to women as mothers, as sisters, as daughters, as partners. And so women still have responsibility to engage